When you see a finish like that, you simply have to ask the question, what just happened there? We were on Cricbuzz Combox at the 10 over mark. We had written off the visitors, which we don't normally tend to do in this game of glorious uncertainties. But yes, that cliche came to the party here, along with a gentleman called Zaheer Van der Dussen. Yes, I had specifically mentioned only him because David Miller was just doing what David Miller does. Van der Dussen didn't look like he could hit the ball off the square. He broke his bat, and that was probably the best bat break that ever happened to any batsman. The new bat that came out seemed to have something special in it, and everything went off the middle. 75 of 46, Van der Dussen, and he was 30 of 32, let's remind you, and then 75 of 46, outshining David Miller. But of course, Miller was brilliant. Partnership that took them to 212 for 3, many records broken along the way. The only one that India could have got and they didn't get was 13 consecutive T20I victories. That would have been a world record. It stays at 12. Here on Cricbuzz Live, we're all in shock. We're all in amazement. We're all in wonderment. I'll come to Zaheer Khan first, who rightly, and I agreed with him at the stage, said 90-10 for India. And we did agree that if we're talking about a South Africa victory, it'll be one of the phenomenal chases, Zaheer.
I think I'll have to curb my bowling instincts, when I'm talking. I think it's just about the game, the way it's evolving, how it's going with T20 format. Two batters coming together, and then there was a reason I was saying like that, right? Like, you had Miller, who always is going to be threatening. But to achieve this kind of a run chase, you needed two batters out there to make that impact. To make it count at 10 over mark, it was 12.5 runs per over. So we were expecting actually, that 12.5 runs per over to go to 13 and a half, and then 15, and then eventually, that those kind of things brings wickets and build pressure. But Indian bowlers were not able to do that. I felt that not using Chahal's full quota of overs, maybe on the hindsight, is definitely something which Rishabh will look at, which team management will have conversations around, because we've seen him do that. You've seen Chahal having a tough day, but having that ability to come back and give that breakthrough. And what Indian team required for them to win this game is to bring the next batter in. So there was a call which was in your hand. The catch drop, I'm not even talking about, because catches get dropped. But when you look at thing which you can control, which is deciding who is going to bowl, who is not going to bowl, I think maybe on the hindsight, Indian team, Rishabh will definitely, as a captain, try and analyze the game and see that, okay, what I could have done differently. Maybe Aksar's over, that last over which he bowled, the fourth over of his, went for runs, and that just kind of gave him that signal that, okay, maybe spin is not an option right now, and then he just not looked at that direction. But the ability of Chahal is greater than that. I think, the 12 balls, if he had bowled at a crucial stage when both Rassi and Miller had to go hard at the bowlers, he could have created that opportunity. He could have gone for sixes as well, but that we've seen in the past. He can go for runs, but he will give you a wicket, and if the wicket was taken at that stage, anyhow, the game would have been different. Is something which Indian team is going to look at. The consecutive wins which you're talking about, the record which you're talking about, maybe we're talking about that right now.
Yeah, and I think, before we come to the partnership, Joy, I'll just stay on the Chahal issue and a learning curve for Rishabh Pant. Because if you look at Chahal's career, be it franchise cricket, be it international cricket, and like we talked about strange patterns, Joy, 7 to 10 being India's highest scoring phase, when would you see Chahal bowling 4, 8 and 20? 4, 8 and 20. I would suggest to say never.
No, absolutely. And, Aksar went for runs. He went for 19 in his 13th over. But I would suggest that, before giving Harshal a chance, then they could have brought Chahal in there. They had another opportunity. And exactly what Zach says, that Chahal will, he gives you wickets because he takes chances, but the batsman is also taking chances against him. When they finally went through, it didn't look as if they were taking too many chances against the bowling. And I think that's what happened. And then they were stuck because then they had nowhere to go but Hardik. Hardik's gone for 18 in a single over, and therefore they were stuck. And I think That's where the miscalculation happened. I think he waited too long for Chahal and then reluctantly felt that he had nowhere to go and except the fast bowlers. Remember though, Chahal is bowled in 18th over against Kolkata in the IPL and got a hat-trick. It has happened. He's won matches in the 17th over, 18th over bowling. So that's something I'd look at. Though even there, I would have said, why the 17th, 18th over? You could have bought him in 1 over much before that as well. So I think there are lots of questions that you have to ask out there. The other one, of course, that we were looking at and saying that what was that review, and then Rishabh walking up to David Miller. I mean, David Miller is a senior international seasoned bat. He's not going to get intimidated, nor is he going to lose his temper. It just didn't come off. And I think that's what you say in summation, that somewhere everything was there, but Rishabh's captaincy, maybe forget the drop catches, all of it didn't quite come off. And I think that's where India will look and wonder what happened.
Yeah, it will be plenty of points to ponder. He's got someone like Rahul Dravid to give him all the guidance that he needs. Sharp learning curve, steep learning curve, call it what you like, but you've got to give credit to the two South African batsmen out there. Maybe Zaheer Van der Dussen doesn't have enough experience in Indian conditions, certainly not like David Miller. But Zaheer, you referred to that innings that made David Miller in the IPL a long time ago when he played for Punjab. Then he sort of went off the boil, refound himself, and today you could see the David Miller who's an IPL champion.
Superb. He's the one who made the game for South Africa. Zaheer Van der Dussen was actually taking more time than required in today's build-up of his innings. But Miller kept South Africa in the hunt. He put Indian bowling under pressure. He kept the tempo going, and I think that really worked. Zaheer Van der Dussen later on caught up and actually overshadowed Miller towards the end. With his 15-16 deliveries, where he just went after the bowling and hit those massive sixes. But I think the platform, the tempo which was needed to continue, and that important phase of the game which we were talking about, which is over number 11, 12, 13, I think that's where the Miller's impact was felt. That's what kept South Africa in the hunt. And it has been a phenomenal run chase. You look at the conditions, you look at the situations, and you just still don't believe that after how they started and after how the conditions were supporting the bowlers, we still see Indian team losing this game.
25 for 2, played 51 for 1 in over number 7 for 10. That's game over, Joy.
I was just looking at that. Absolutely. And you think, what is going to happen? 86 there, and you're saying this is all over bar the shouting. There's nothing that's going to happen from here. I mean, to think that Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Harshal Patel will give away 44 runs in the 17th and 18th over. I mean, of course, that's the point. That once batsman, and people have been talking about it, that once Van Dusen gets set, he can hit those big ones. But somewhere, exactly like I think the South African bowlers didn't bowl to the conditions. I didn't think the Indian bowlers bowl to the batsmen. I mean, Van Dusen is somebody who actually fetches everything from leg side. He does not hit over cover. He not kill you over cover. He's going to whack over everything over the leg side. So once he gets set, that's where the wide Yorkers needed to come in. Somewhere, India must have prepared for a lot of batsmen, but I don't think they thought that Zaheer Van der Dussen is the one who's going to finish it for them, against them.
Yeah, and I think you've got to give him full credit. I was listening closely to Pommy Ambangwa, who obviously would have seen him grow. And he talked about Zaheer Van der Dussen, the 50-over player, Zaheer, and the 20-over player. And he said he's got a problem. He actually said it in so many words. He has a problem starting. And at times, he just doesn't get started, end of match. But when he does get started, look out. And that's what happened today.
And that drop catch which we're talking about also did help, isn't it? So you kind of know as a batter that okay, luck is also favoring me, and I can take more chances, and everything just panned out exactly how we wanted it. But I mean, it has been a phenomenal run chase. There is no doubt about that. We've seen some extraordinary striking, and once again we've seen that in this format when the bowlers are under pressure. You at times either look to err on the fuller side or the shorter side. that in between length which we talk about, which we saw the glimpses of it. Like, even when Rassi van der Dussen was set, you've seen those length deliveries just outside off stump. And Joyda was rightly making that point of, predominantly onside player looking to walk in. You can still bowl those wide lines and the in between length deliveries. What we've seen is that the Van der Dussen actually took those really short pitch deliveries, put them out of the park, and the full ones out of the park. So these are the learnings I'm sure the bowlers will be taking. But it has been a phenomenal start to the series. The series has certainly come alive. There is a strong contender now for this Indian team. And the contest between bat and ball is going to be superb, I think, going forward. This match certainly, I feel, has set the tone for this series, which is going to be exciting. For the next match, 4 matches to go, so we have to see how this Indian team responds. Because when the batting was over the first innings, you're feeling that okay, it's again going to be that kind of a series where maybe South Africa will lose hope, or they will have to have a really uphill task of making inroads with winning, and maybe the record of not losing a series in India is going to be challenged pretty easily. Not the case. So I'm looking forward to the remaining of the matches now, because this match has certainly set the tone and made the series come alive.
Yeah, and there was another cheeky comment which could only come from the one and only SMG Joy. At the point, 29 of 30 balls, he hits the ball. He actually didn't hit a bad shot. He middled it, dropped a sitter by Shreyas Iyer. Then he hits 45 of the next 14 balls at 321. And Sunny Bhai actually said, "Are India trying to keep him in?"
I mean, those are the kind of comments which had been made by a fielder. It's like one of those Herschel Gibb comments you've given at the World Cup. You just dropped the World Cup. And that's one of those things that.
But the way he was playing, in gully cricket, we used to do it all the time. If someone's struggling, don't get him run out. Don't take a catch if it comes his way. We don't want the next guy coming in. Tristan Stubbs, he could be dangerous. Keep him in.
Exactly. But they've probably not heard of what. I think they hadn't heard Pommy at that point in time, because what Pommy said was what absolutely is right, that he has difficulty. And of course, the breaking of the bat. The breaking bat is going to be the story of this match. From breaking bat to breaking bat. Because that's what changed actually this match for the game. And look, I'm exactly as Zaheer said. This series was looking like, okay, it's a bilateral series. And the IPL has been exciting and lots of things have happened. So, okay, it's a normal series. Now suddenly there's a lot to play for. You know what you mean? This is an opponent. India has been stung. It's been hurt on their home ground. So suddenly you're going to see everything. And again, Rishabh's captaincy is going to be under the microscope now, because while you can't say that he's made too many bad decisions, he hasn't exactly distinguished himself in the captaincy either. So now, there's going to be a microscope on that as well. So it's going to be a really, really fascinating series from here on.
Certainly is going to be good signs for South Africa, because while we obviously being in India, looking at Indian possibilities and team combinations for Australia, South Africa also starting to put together a very decent side. If someone like Rassi van der Dussen can do what he did today, add to that Miller, Markram comes back into the squad, Quinton de Kock is in there, AB de Villiers comes out of retirement, anything can happen. But they're looking pretty good. The last one's not going to happen. But let's look ahead. It's not the end of the road by any means for Team India. It's just a little blimp on one of those many speed breakers around the Firozshah Kotla. They're going to fly to the airport and go off to Cuttack. And another big arena, another packed arena, Joy, at the Barabatti Stadium. It's come a long way, the stadium. Short drive from Bhubaneswar, but again, the crowd support should be there. No better venue for India to try and level a series.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, because at this point in time, how many changes do you make? Do you make changes at all? And I'm suggesting that, given the confidence of the players, you're not going to drop a Harshal Patel after one match or one bad over. When you look at it, in fact, if you look at it, the person who's been under pressure was the captain himself. I mean, he's the only one under pressure. There's no other change you should make, because the batting has delivered. None of the bowlers, Avish Khan has done well for himself. Akshar Patel has done his job. Chahal didn't get a chance to do his job. Do you drop Bhuvaneshwar Kumar? I don't think so. Do you drop Harshal Patel after one match? You don't. So that's what I'm thinking. This is not a team which should panic or make changes after this one match. This was a blip. There were some extraordinary innings. There's some bad decisions on our part. There are a couple of dropped catches. But this team should play the next one, and I think they're good enough to beat the South Africans if they play their game.
Quick one on the possible surface, and I think this is something we talk about. It's too early to do a pitch report, but we can certainly do a pitch prediction here. The Bhattacharjya Stadium in Cuttack used to have low and slow pitches. I've seen a few of them in my time on holidays there. Now the local association has introduced a newly laid sand-based outfield, making good conditions despite rain. The conditions might be changed because of that, so not easy to make predictions regarding the pitch and the outfield, as this will, Zaheer, be the first time after the changes. So they've tried to make a change. We don't know what's coming, but if you had to prepare a pitch to India's liking, given the makeup of both sides, Zaheer, what would you be if you were the curator at the Bhattacharjya?
Well, that they're talking about the outfield, isn't it? The sand-based outfield, or improving on the drainage system of the ground, to make sure that if there is rain-affected game, the ground is available as fast as possible. But there's no mention of whether the soil which they've used in the pitch has that been changed. So those are the factors which will decide. If it's not the case, then the basic nature of the wicket will remain the same. The pitch will still be around of similar nature, maybe slightly two-paced. We've seen the low bounce there. So you can expect that, unless you go and practice there on the practice pitches and you find something different. So that judgment call will be based on the actual situation when you practice. But other than that, I think in spite of the conditions, I still feel that I don't see any change in the playing 11. There will be talks around that in terms of how you could have closed different situations of the game. Because the margins are very small. When you score 211 runs, you would expect, doesn't matter what the conditions are, you would expect your bowling lineup to go out there and do the job for your team. That has not happened. The series which was coming to my mind was the ODI series, where we've seen against Australia, when they were playing in India, you've seen excess of 350 was chased. And then you've seen some lower order hitting. Faulkner was in great form, and you've seen some close games which are not been the high scoring games, which were not being closed by the bowling lineup. Somewhere it can happen, so you want to stop that from happening. So it's about just understanding those small little things, the decision making under pressure, and how you can create an impact. Because like how you're saying, if it's 12.5 runs per over for half of the innings, you just got to maybe get one delivery right every over, and the outcome could have been different, right? So these are the small things which we're talking about. So you can either complicate things too much, or you can just stick to addressing it in a very simpler manner. I think that's what is required for bowling unit at this stage, because these are the games which can really take your morale down, and you can really start finding answers to the questions which are not present there. So you don't want that happening. You want to still keep things pretty simple and just play the game how it's unfolding, and make the decisions which are simpler, or stick to the process. So I think those are the things which are going to be important from Indian team's point of view. Other than that, like we said, it's going to be exciting series to watch now.
Yeah, so no recommended changes for Team India. Close game, but India falling short in terms of being on the victory side. What about South Africa? Not in terms of touching a winning 11, you wouldn't want to do that, but purely from composition, purely from the fact that yes, maybe the surface might change. We're not sure about Aiden Markram and how long he'll take to come back. But Zaheer, I'll stay with you first, then come to Joy. Were you absolutely happy with the 11, both Shamsi and Maharaj playing, given that India went after them, or you want to bring back one quicker bowler?
They might think about that, but when you won a game like this, you would want to continue with that. And generally in Indian conditions, you've seen that you want two spinners in the side. So those options are required. If Markram was fit and available, then it would have been a different story. I think they could have gone in that direction where they could have started with Markram, thinking that okay, get 1 or 2 overs out, something on those lines. But since he's not available, I think they will stick to the same kind of personnel in that playing 11. They will take a lot of confidence from this game. and would want to rectify the errors in thinking which they had during their bowling stint. So that is something, which is going to be the same case, I think, for both the teams. Their homework or back to the drawing board is going to be around bowling and around the plans what they had, around how they looked at the conditions, what would have been the better options, and how can you improve on your decision making under pressure. So I think, these are the things which both the teams which will be looking at. Batting, both the teams are happy. But if you had asked Indian team is going to score 211 runs, you would have said, oh, fantastic. That's game in the pocket. And you look at the South African team, they're going to say that, oh, we've chased down 211. We just got everything sorted right now with regard to batting. Just keep the tempo going, keep the morale going. So I think, both the teams are going to be concerned about the bowling plans.
Yep. So I'm going to throw the same question to Joy to finish with in terms of possible changes, even one possible change, or you keep the 11 purely based on the winning combination.
No, exactly. The only one we would have thought about if Markram was fit was Ngidi for maybe Keshav Maharaj, because I think the off spin it's slightly easier for the batsman, but that doesn't look likely at this point in time. They'll always play the second spinner. And, Zaheer Van der Dussen was the only real weak point in this innings. The way he's played today, I don't think they can drop him or give anyone else a chance. Not at this point in time, at least. So, yeah, it's very much game on. And, this is a South African team that is surprised, because South Africa has traditionally done that. They've scared India. They've shown how good they are, and then they've suddenly fallen short. And today they've done it. And it just opens up the series so much better. If India had won convincingly here, there would have been a little bit of boredom about the series, or another bilateral series going down. I think this has just sparked off this series, and it should be exciting to watch from here on.
Yeah, you'd always want to see the underdog, if you like, even a slight underdog, the visiting team taking the lead, the host coming back, makes for a competitive series, makes for a great build-up to the big event coming in October and November. So, few questions to be answered for the bowlers on both sides. We're going to be seeing you at the Barabati Stadium very shortly, or talking about it from that particular part of the world. But Joy, the one question we haven't answered is your little brain tickler for the day. So can you remind us of the question and give us the answer?
Which streak started in Nagpur in March 87 and ended in October in the same year in Hyderabad? I've cheated a bit. This Hyderabad is not the Hyderabad in Telangana. This is the Hyderabad in Sindh. And the record basically is, this is 9 consecutive ODI half centuries, which is quite a record considering that Indian batsmen have got 5 and 6. Mithali Raj has got 7 actually, but 9 consecutive one-day international half centuries. Javed Miandad started in Nagpur, ended in Sindh, Hyderabad.
Well, I think it was not that much of a googly, because either way, he could have done it in the other Hyderabad as well, given that one of them was in Nagpur, given that India and Pakistan did play each other in those days in their respective countries, and we hope that comes back very, very soon. But who's the person who spotted that Javed Miandad question? It's either going to be a hardcore quizzer or someone completely out of the blue. And it is new. Rishi Rukhiana. Well done, Rishi. We'd love to know a little bit more about you and whether you just pulled that out of a hat and how you figured that one out. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Let us know. We, of course, awarded you the winner's prize, but let us know a little bit more about yourself. We'll promise we'll talk about it on the next show. Well, that's all we have here. We are going to be back in a couple of days' time when the action resumes. Don't forget, Cricbuzz Plus is the place to go if you want a little bit more from history. Don't go too far back, but you can go as far back as you like. It's not just cricket. It could be movies. It could be tennis. It could be football. Joy is unpredictable, and it makes for some phenomenal viewing. Retro Reels is what you'll find on Cricbuzz Plus, and so much more. For now, from the entire Cricbuzz Live family, it's all we have for today's game. South Africa 1 up in the 5-match series. Lots to play for, as Zaheer Khan said. Should be exciting. From all 3 of us, it's time to say goodnight.
Good night.